Hi everyone, welcome to my next video. We might have some background noise. They're doing some work over in a nearby harbor, and I hope it's not interfering with this video. But I received a fascinating comment, and it had to do with how do you know when you're in the right place at the right time, or if you are. Now apparently this person is a nomad, and I'm assuming maybe they're traveling in their RV. They didn't say, but I'm just making that assumption. And they're second guessing whether they should have stayed in Alabama. Why did they leave Nevada? Why did she miss the places, or he miss the places they hated at the time? And why did they hate their hometown? And these are really great questions that I think a lot of people have, because we don't always understand our emotions. And especially our emotions can cause us sometimes to not think clearly. And boy, don't I know that, because I lived for many, many years in very emotional, different states, not able to sort things out because I believe I was so emotional. And so I'm going to address this the best I can. And we are at Sheppy's favorite park. I was planning to go to another one, but I had to drive past this one, and Sheppy started crying. So I had to stop. And so both dogs are loose. And I hope the background noise doesn't take away from this video. Now this was a really great question, and I might be able to talk much more about this other than just this one video. But the first question was, how do you know you're in the right place at the right time? Well, we don't. But here's how I look at it. Whether or not it's the right place at the right time, we can determine if it feels right. And I live more in an intuitive sense than a factual sense, if that makes sense. Because I've been in places that didn't feel right before. And I think if you really listen to your feelings, you'll know if it's the right place or the wrong place. And there have certainly been many times when I have been in the wrong place, knowing full well it was wrong. But I think this person is looking for a deeper meaning. And I'm going to continue with these questions because they all tie in together. And this person is second guessing if they should have stayed in Alabama, and why did they leave Nevada? Well, don't we all second guess ourselves sometimes? Why did I do that? Why am I thinking about doing this? Now, before I continue on with these questions, I have one major response, and I got an overall feel for this person, and it was a very wonderful feeling that this person is going to figure it out. And why do I say that? Because they're asking why. Because they're searching for the meaning. And there are many people who don't search for meaning because they make an assumption they've already found it. And I did that for years because I believed my reasoning was because I was not worthy of anything other than what I experienced. So I lived for years with the concept of low self-esteem, assuming that was my why. And it completely blocked all the doors and all the possibilities that could have happened to me because I assumed I knew the why. Or rather, I never questioned why because I didn't think the why mattered. And I hope that makes sense. But when you ask why, that is giving this greater something, and you can call it the universe. Come on, Maggie. You can call it the universe. You can call it whatever spiritual being you believe in. But that will hear you asking why. That will hear your searching. And in time, you will learn what your why is. Now for me, it took almost 60 years to understand my why. And it came to me by helping someone else. And had I asked why when I was younger, my life would have been vastly different. And so I have an interesting experiment to try with this person, or anybody else for that matter. If you're curious about the meaning of something, or why you did something, or why you even feel a certain way, and this can apply to anything. Why did you buy that car? Why are you fearful? Why are you insecure? Why are you hesitant to do something? And take a piece of paper and be by yourself so you don't have interruptions. And start at the top and write your question to yourself. Such as, let's take this person. Why did they leave Alabama? Why did they leave Nevada? Why do they hate my hometown when they hate it? But why do they miss it at the same time? And I'm going to almost assuredly promise you that you're going to need more than one piece of paper, because you're going to be your own therapist. And I've never done this, but I've done this in my mind. And I think it might be easier to do it on paper. Come on, Mag. Come on. Get out of that. Come on. So you're going to start at the top with your question, and just start with one. Because as you continue with this exercise or experiment, you're going to come up with more questions. And each question is going to lead you closer to the why. So let's start at the top. Why did they leave? Oh my gosh, what is that? Why did they leave Alabama? And write your answer. Don't write, I don't know. Or if you do write, I don't know, under that, write why. Why don't you know? And I think we're going to turn around because Megs is a little bit scared. Write why. And be honest with yourself. Don't write I don't know again, because you do have an answer, whatever it is. And you're not going to show this to anybody, so it doesn't matter if you're not sure. Write down what comes to your mind right away. And you're going to answer yourself, why don't you know? Because you do know. And your subconscious knows. And if you don't think you know, it's because maybe you don't want to know. And that's a whole nother topic. But if you do want to know, your answer will come to you. And as you continue asking yourself why did you answer that question the way you did? Why do you feel insecure? Why are you fearful? Why are you questioning yourself? And that's one of the biggest questions, because that might go on and on and on for many pieces of paper. And I almost can guarantee you that you are going to surprise yourself what you come up with, because I think it's easier to do something in steps, because it can be overwhelming sometimes when we're faced with all of these perplexing, confusing issues and we don't know where to start. And when you write them down, it's giving you a starting point, and it's giving you a focus with one question at a time. And I would absolutely love to hear how this works out for all of you, and if you what you've come up with. And you don't have to share anything personal that you don't want to, but I would love to hear how if you've sorted this out, whatever your question was, because clearly this person, I believe, and this is going to sound maybe a bit strange, but I believe many, many times we already have the answers. We are just either hesitant to know them, maybe not ready to handle the answer, or rather in such a state of mind that, again, maybe we're not ready to hear the answer. Because I was stuck in a mode of not feeling worthy for years. And if anyone had told me I was, I wouldn't have believed it. Why? Because I had to learn on my own. That's why. And you can ask me why, anything, and I'll tell you. And the more whys you ask, the more you'll learn about yourself. And it's kind of like going to the therapist. At least it was when I went. Why do you feel this way? Why did you just say that? Why did you just misunderstand what that person said? And all you're doing is you're talking to yourself and you're responding to yourself. And you know what I think is also really cool about doing this? If you feel overwhelmed, take a break, put your paper down, and quit. And when you go to sleep, believe it or not, I think your mind is still going to be working on those questions. And you might wake up either the next day or the day after and suddenly have the answer that you were trying to figure out. And it might not be the next day. It might be the next week. Or you might have a better response that you wrote the day before because it's all becoming clear or clearer. And what I want to say to this person is, I think it's wonderful that you're asking why. Because it is the people that ask why who finally discover the answer. Now again, I did not ask why. Why did I make so many mistakes? Why did I choose the wrong careers and the wrong relationships? Well, at the time I didn't think they were wrong because I had such a low opinion of myself. And I thought that I was not deserving. And that at the time was my why. But had I questioned myself, I certainly would have become more aware at a much younger age than age 60 or 50. I can't remember. I wrote about it in my memoir. I think I was more close to 40 actually. And my why was, what I finally realized was that I deserved all of the gifts that I was born with. And I deserved to be happy. And I deserved to follow my own path and my own truth. And when I learned my why, it absolutely changed my life. And the more you pursue your why, the more doors will open because you've asked the question. And the universe or the greater something, whoever, whatever you call it, the energy field will hear your why, will hear your question, and will feel your true sincerity in wanting to know. And I honestly believe that we all deep down know the answer, but I believe there's always a reason why perhaps we don't know what those answers are. And I believe that for myself, I had to experience what I experienced in order to appreciate the why. I had to appreciate what I had been through to understand the why. And sometimes when we don't understand the why, just knowing there is a why is enough. And I hope that makes sense. And that has to do with having faith in yourself and having faith in your choices. Even if you think they were wrong choices, they were the best choice at the time, or so you thought. And in that sense, I don't think there is a right or wrong. We just are. We are just who we are, wherever we are, whenever we are. And to question the why will lead us to the why. Aren't these beautiful? It is mid-November, and that noise is coming from the harbor, so they're probably working on a boat. I don't know. These are gorgeous. And I so admire the person that is questioning themselves, because to question ourselves takes courage, and it takes honesty within ourselves, and it takes a willingness to want to understand more about our life. And not everybody wants to do that. And Gosh, those are some really strange things on that tree. I wonder what that is. Ooh, maybe some kind of nest. I don't know. And I know my why now. I know what it is. And my why is what I'm doing right now. And the reason everything happened in my life was to bring me to this moment. And that might be your why. Whether it was difficult, whether it was easy, whether it was tragic, there's always a reason for everything. And even if we don't understand it at the time, doesn't mean that there's not a reason. And gosh, I feel so passionate about this topic. Now, all my life, I knew there was a deeper purpose, but I didn't feel deserving of knowing what it was. And I didn't feel as though I could ever live up to that purpose, whatever it was. And for that reason, I never really looked for my why, because I didn't feel entitled to it. And I wonder how many other people do that, or if they settle and say, well, this is me, this is good enough, I guess this is my why, and I'll just accept it. And they won't push through the questions and look behind what they believe to a greater meaning, to a greater awareness, and a greater understanding. And this person, by asking this question, I believe is very much on the right track. And they're going to find their why. And I can't wait to hear if you ever would like to share that with us. Because you will. I can tell by the energies in your questions and by the very fact that you're asking. And I believe even by writing this one question down, why do you hate your hometown? I'm going to venture a guess that something happened that caused you great distress or anxiety, and you're generalizing it as the whole town, whereas it might have been related to a particular event, perhaps your entire childhood. But there's a reason for hatred, and I'm wondering if it is even hatred. And that would be a great, great question for yourself to ask. Because I grew up in a small town that I left because of trauma. And back then I thought I hated it, and I couldn't wait to leave. But I didn't hate my hometown. I understood years later that I was confused and angry and hurt. But I still loved my hometown. But at the time, I hated living there. And so you can take that one question and you can ask yourself over and over and over on that piece of paper, why did you choose the word hate? Where does that hate come from? What happened in your hometown? What was that feeling like when you feel hate? What reminds you of your hometown that creates you to be hateful? See, you can go on and on and keep asking yourself why. And I would love to hear again if any of this works for you. Because again, I just assumed that whatever happened to me, I deserved it. And I never asked why. And I settled for my misery for years. But it's a healthy and very enlightening way to think when you ask why. And I was delighted to get that question. So we're going to head home because it's getting pretty chilly out here. And this is Sheppy's favorite park. He absolutely loves it. And every single time I drive by to try to go to another one, he cries because he wants to stop here. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because Maggie gets to run loose with him and he has more fun with her. I'm not sure. But I hope you're all having a great day and staying warm. It's getting very chilly here. I've got a fire going in the cabin. And I appreciate you all. I love my channel. And always ask me, if you would like, if there's any particular topics you'd like me to talk more about, or things that I've done in my life that might contribute to helping you with yours, because I love sharing what I've learned, or what I think I've learned, because I'm learning all the time. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day, and please feel free to ask me anything, comment, and thank you again. Take care.